If you look, the last time they were promoted in April 25, and they were officers of 1995 to 1998 batch Danix. So 27 to 28 years to get into IAS. If you do not want IFS or IPS, you put them at 4 or 5, you will not get it anyway. Okay, but do not disrespect these services which has a huge legacy in building the nation to 9, 10, 11, 12. Please don't do that. IRS Customs and IRS IT at 4th or 5th, and not put IAAS, audit accounts, over IRS. Please don't do this mistake that we tend to do. We tend to put audit accounts over IRS these days. Please do not make any changes with these first 6 services, specifically putting IAAS over IRS or IFS or IPS. Hello students. So UPSC form filling process is going on. And in the last class, we dwelled deep into your photo, signature, certificate related doubts. We also saw what to fill in achievements in hobbies section and how to utilize that section creatively for your interview process. In this class, what we will talk about specifically is the services preference and how to fill it correctly and what major mistakes to avoid. So the biggest mistake or the biggest question we get every year while filling services is that what do we do of Group B services? We have always advised to put Group B services below Group A services. Group B services are your Danix, Danips, Pondips, Pondips. Students every year tend to fill some of these services above Group A services like the information services or trade services or corporate law services, and we do not recommend students to do that. Simply because there is a huge difference in promotions, in networking opportunities, in perks, and Group B will never be able to match the aura of Group A. Still, students tend to justify that they want to live in Delhi, they want to get the administrative role, etc. For that also, if you want to go into an administrative role, there are a lot of state PCS like UP PCS, Haryana PCS, Rajasthan PCS that you can give, and you can be promoted to IAS way more quicker than what you will be promoted through DANIPS or DANIX, right? So that's one of the reason why we have been suggesting to put Group A over Group B every year. But this year there is a twist in a tail because students are coming with the logic that, sir, because of the one-time exemption rule introduced for Group A officers, they will be allowed to write this exam only once, IPS, IRS, to get into IAS. If they want to improve their rank to IAS, will be given only one shot, while nothing such applies for Group B services. While it's true that the notification is silent on Group B services, I personally believe that there will be a lot of court cases or there will be a lot of petitions that students will file, and UPSC will have to face a lot of legal challenges to implement this properly, because simply it's not fair on other services. If you are selecting all the services from one exam, you make rules which applies to all the services. So either UPSC in future will have to amend this rule and also include the Group B services of Danix, Danips, Pondips, Pondips, and give them also one-time exemption only to improve the rank, or they have to deal with a lot of legal cases. But let's also discount this fact because it is yet to happen. So what do we do as of today? As of today, should we fill Danix, Danips, Pondips, Pondips above any Group A services simply because we need to write this exam? We'll get more opportunity to write this exam, specifically if you are a beginner or if you are attempting this exam for the second or third time. I would still say no, because as I said, the promotions in these services are very, very slow. If you look, the last time they were promoted in April 25, and they were officers of 1995 to 1998 batch Danix. So 27 to 28 years to get into IAS. I mean, what energy would that person bring in to the district, even if he or she is a district magistrate? It's not a life that you would want to live at this very stage when you are particularly very young. and you have all the options in the world to go. So yeah, because of the promotions aspect, I will still not advise you to do that. And if you see UPPCS, officers from 2008 to 2010 batch, they were promoted to IAS in 17 to 19 years. And UPPCS versus UPSC Civil Services, you know how the exam works, right? It's way difficult to clear UPSC than UPPCS. So even if I want to, in future, after exhausting my UPSC attempts, and if I feel that I need to serve in the administration, I have the option of giving the state PCS examination. So I also, this is one of the reasons I will still give to not prioritize Group B over Group A. The reason, again, to write more attempts, because as beginners, we'll be utilizing our attempts better. I mean, for utilization of attempts, if you really want to hack the system like this, then why are you even putting it at 7? Why do you even put it at 7? Put it at 2 then, in case if you want to hack the system only. Because everybody of you want to become an IAS, right? This is our eventual dream, to become IAS. So let's put Danix on 2. Let's put Danix on 2. And let's not put IPS, IRS and other services, because eventually our aim is to become IAS. So let's put Danix on 2. We'll get Danix every year and we can utilize our attempt. If that is one way you find to hack the system, put Danix 1 year, put Danips another year, put Pondix 1 year, put Pondips another year. I mean, if you really want to hack the system like this. So it's not fair. It's not something that you should be doing, because it will also create a lot of awkwardness during the interview stage. Because in the interview stage, if you put Danix, Danips above, or Pondix, Pondips above, then other Group A services, how will you justify the decision of doing that? Although they don't ask you questions from services anymore, but if in large numbers students start feeling like this, then naturally they'll again start asking. So it's also not a very ideal way to represent yourself in the interview process. Also, with respect to the job profile, it's a field job. Okay, it's a field job, right? So it's not an easy job to do. Also, you are always in field, and you won't really get a lot of time to study also. If you want to get into Danix, Danips, and if you think that attempting or improving the rank will get easier, make no mistake, it's not getting easier, because you have so many good desk jobs in ministry, in other Group A services, where you will get sufficient time or better time to study also. So despite the logic being given due to the changes in the application form, I would still not suggest to put Group B services over Group A services, and I would still keep Group B services in the last category only. I would still keep Danix, Pondix, Pondips, AFHQ at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Here you can make any changes if you want Pondix above or Pondips above, but please keep these services at last only. That's one thing you should remember while filling this year services form. Secondly, the Group A services, right? Of course, IAS, IPS, IFS, you can have a different dream. You know what they do. I do not need to explain what these three officers do and what their legacy and aura and pride is. So naturally, you can obviously shift it according to your preference, but then keep IRS Customs and IRS IT at 4th or 5th, and not put IAAS Audit Accounts over IRS. Please don't do this mistake that we tend to do. We tend to put Audit Accounts over IRS these days. IRS is still a service which has way more perks, much better posting stability, and a lot of better location to be posted than IAAS. And the public visibility, the power, the perks, the infrastructure, the work-life balance, the operational autonomy, everything is way better in IRS and not IaaS. So IaaS, despite you getting an opportunity to work under CAG, you cannot become a CAG in IaaS. Only an IAS officer will become the CAG. But you can reach till deputy CAG, etc. But still, it's not advisable or feasible to put audit accounts over revenue, any revenue, customs or IT. Within customs or IT, you can definitely do a change. You should know what they work in, right? Customs are working in the indirect taxes, right? In GST, in customs, in excise, and it's a field job, right? It's a field job. You are posted in commissionerates and the custom houses, etc. So yes, here you can make a change, 4 or 5, customs over IT or IT over customs, right? But not IaaS over IRS. So while filling these first 6 services, the first mistake you do is, filling IaaS over IRS. That you should not be doing. You should clearly know that IRS is much better than audit accounts. Also, another mistake we do while filling these top 6 services is that we at times fill IFS or IPS below 6 or 5. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. If you do not want IFS or IPS, you put them at 4 or 5, you will not get it anyway. Okay, but do not disrespect these services which has a huge legacy in building the nation, to 9, 10, 11, 12. Please don't do that, right? If you don't want IFS, please put it below 6, simply. But keep it at 5. If you don't want IFS, keep it at 5. But when you put it below 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you don't give a very good message out there, right? So the first 6 order has to be ideally IAS, IFS, IPS. You can do a change in this according to your own personal preferences. Enough is available in the public domain about these 3 services, and I don't want to explain you more on that. In IRS customs and IRS IT, it's about working with the customs or indirect taxes or in the income tax, right? It's again your preference. Later on in the IRS IT, you can also get the opportunity to get into enforcement directorate, and you can take the public facing role again. But for the time being, more public facing role is there in customs than IT because of the transparent faceless system that has been introduced. But nevertheless, both these services are still very good and deserves to be put on 4th and 5th. And then you can obviously put the audit and account services, where you are responsible for auditing the government accounts and ensuring the financial accountability. You are working under CAG, you are working with the CAG, you are in the audit offices, right? And you can start with Deputy Accountant General, and then you can move into Accountant General also, okay? So first 6 services, you have to fill like this. Please make no changes in this. You can obviously shift the order, but not IAS over IRS. And here in the last services, please put Danex, Pondex, AFH2, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Please, these 2 things have to be done exactly like this, right? I hope this is clear to you all. Now, with remaining, say, 7 to 18, right? This is where you can actually change or you can pick or choose services how you want to live your personal life, how you want to live your professional life, whether you want a field posting, whether you want a desk job, what do you really truly aspire. But ideally, what I'll suggest to put on 7 is the IRMS traffic. Okay, railways, the traffic component at 7, because you are managing the passengers, you're managing the freight traffic operations, and all the DRMs right now, majority of them are coming from IRMS traffic only. So internally, Their lobby in railways, within railways, is pretty strong, and there is no doubt that railways is still better services than other Group A services that we'll be discussing in this video, because of the visibility that railway holds, because of the infrastructure railway holds, and everybody respects you when you are an officer in railway. So yes, railways become the natural choice after these top 6 services. At 7th, you can safely put IRMS traffic. Then you can put IRMS accounts, right? Simply, they are the financial management of railways, railway budget, financial planning. These officers have a good role to play, and it's kind of a desk job compared to traffic, which is a field job, right? And then on number 9, after you are done with these two components of the railways, you can think about one services, that is Indian Defence Estate Services. Okay. Earlier when cantonment areas government was not planning to shut down, we used to put IDS also above railways at 7 or 8 or even at 6, because it was so powerful. It still is powerful, right? You're kind of managing the cant areas, the defense lands, the cant areas. You are the single or the most important authority in that region. Every area you see, cant areas would be very much different from the other areas, be it Agra cant, Varanasi cant, Delhi cant. You will see the infrastructure, the cleanliness, the development being much better than the other cities, simply because of so much of investment that has happened in these areas. And you are the officers who are managing the defense lands, the cantonment boards, the defense estate organizations, right? So it's a powerful service, still is a very powerful services, even if government plans to shut down the cant areas, because there are land worth billions. Who would manage them eventually, right? And there is still a need. That's why UPSC is recruiting. So it's worth keeping these services on mind. I would still recommend that. And then you can shift to the accounting services, where you can start with your civil accounts. You can start with your civil accounts. Then, because see, you are actually managing the government finances and accounts. Don't get confused between accounts and auditing. They are different things. Okay, accounts is just you're doing you're auditing also, but not to an extent IAAS has the capacity to do. So you are simply managing the government finances and accounting, and you can obviously become Controller General of Accounts later on in various ministries and departments. So you have an option to be posted in Jal Shakti Ministry also, to be posted in Finance Ministry also. So you can shift ministries, you will get exposure of various ministries in your career, but largely it remains a desk job. And then you can put your defense estate services, defense account services, sorry. Okay. And in the defense accounts services, you're simply managing the finances of defense services. You'll be there in Ministry of Defense, in the Armed Forces accounts offices. So lifelong your interaction will happen in defense ministry only, or with defense people only. If you choose defense accounts, if you choose civil accounts, you will have better exposure to ministries. You can keep changing your departments and ministries often, right? So after these two accounting services, at 12th, you can think of keeping IRMS personnel again. IRMS again, but the personnel aspect. You can think of doing. That's the HR of the railways. That they manage the HR function of the Indian Railways. So industrial relations, staff management, etc. Right? So I hope from 7 to 12, this is the order that we would suggest, but still you can make changes in them according to your own work-life balance. Then at 13th, At 13th, I mean, people don't know about this service a lot, but it's a very good service. That is Indian Trade Service. Okay, that's Indian Trade Services. See, so much of things are happening in trade, right? There is so many FTAs being signed. You are the guys, you are the officers who are indulging into the paperwork. You're doing the negotiations, multiple round of negotiations, while implementing that, while that trade deal gets implemented in public. The officers of trade are the officers who are involved in negotiations. We took so many rounds of negotiations before coming up with a deal with the US. So it's the trade officers that are responsible for doing that. They're responsible for promotion of international trade and commerce, right? And they are directly working with the DGFT. Okay, so it's a very good services. You can take delegation to WTO also, and you assist. You work closely with the Indian Foreign Services officers, because largely we are shifting towards transactional diplomacy, and trade has become a very important component of our diplomacy. So Indian Trade Services is wonderful. You can, of course, think of considering keeping these services in your top 15, or accordingly also in 10, 11 if you want. Then you can think of putting Indian Corporate Law Services or the IIS, Indian Information Services. Again, these three services are the services I see a lot of future into, because these are the domains that we will see expanding a lot in future. Okay, in corporate law services, you are regulating the corporate laws and ensuring compliances with business regulations. So there are so many companies, there are so many startups, there are so many entrepreneurs that are coming. So who manages their compliance with business laws or business regulations? So ICLS officers are responsible for doing that, and you will be working with Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Registrar of Companies, etc. Right? So it's a good service, but sure, we need a lot of logistical improvement in this service. But in future, I see the country having more and more companies coming up, more and more entrepreneurs coming up. So naturally, bringing them to compliance with the business regulation, these officers will be doing that. You will be the face or the intermediary between government and the companies. So this is also a service which I see a lot of future in. Then the information services, simply because the expansion of media has happened tremendously over last few years, and I see only this improving and growing. Earlier, we only had Prasar Bharati or Doordarshan to control, so the officers, IAS officers' role were very limited. But now, there's social media, and there's public relations, and every ministry also is fighting very hard to disseminate disseminate information. We have to combat fake news also. So, there is so much of work to do for information services. So I definitely see a lot of improvements in the future with respect to the role of these services. PIB, Prasar Bharati, Doordarshan, all of these comes under the Indian Information Services officers. So this will be my choice for the 7 to 15. Now, on 16th, you can put IP TAFs, right? On 16th, you can put IP TAFs. IP TAFs is your post telecommunication accounts and finances services, basically the financial wing of post and telecom services. They have a wider area to work in within the postal services, and in future also, if government plans to compete with tech giants like Amazon and other e-commerce platform, government has this infrastructure only that they will utilize to compete against these e-commerce giants. For instance, government has introduced Bharat Taxi, right? So government, if they feel that these e-commerce companies or these foreign companies, they're trying to misuse their freedom, and they are not being consumer friendly, government can obviously intervene any day in these services also. So, but it's very far-fetched. The idea is far-fetched. For the time being, you're just managing postal services and the telecommunication aspects, especially the financial part of it. Correct? Not more than that. And you're posted in Department of Telecommunication and Posts. Okay. Then you can think of keeping the Indian Postal Services, right? Indian Postal Services. They are mostly managing the postal services and the logistics aspect. There are a lot of manual dakiyas or courier walas, right? And there's a lot of manual work that these forces are able to do. So managing the post, the parcel management, the e-commerce, etc., integration into that. Basically, supplying of passport and Gangajal also at times. So the role, and the banking also they have been integrated into, but it's largely the logistics role that they are managing at this point. And in the last Group A service, you can keep IRMS, but the Railway Protection Force element. Okay, IRPFS, I guess. IRPFS. Okay, it's the Railway Protection Force. It's ensuring the security of railway passengers and property. Every station you would see RPF there, but in the future, a lot of privatization might enter into this area. So it's not better than the other railway services that you have, especially accounts, traffic, even personnel. So these are the areas, these are the services that we will recommend you to put in Group A within from 7 to 18. But for Group B, we are very firm that please put DANIX, Pondix, AFHQ at last only. And please do not make any changes with these first 6 services, specifically putting IAS over any other Group A service, over IRS or, IFS or IPS. And do not put IFS or IPS below 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 somewhere. So these are the fundamental mistakes you can avoid while filling this. Otherwise, from 7 to 18, it's largely your choice, depending on your work-life balance, depending on whether you want a field job or a desk job, and how do you see yourself contributing to the nation building. So we will release the desired recommended list on our YouTube, also in the community, so you can go through that. You can always connect to our mentors for form filling, photo, signature, category, academic certificates. Our mentors have been solving these doubts on a regular basis. Please be mindful while filling these services also properly, because these blunders can cost you a lifetime. So thank you very much.